Hey, for Friday, September 4th, 2020. This is the Pro and Con Show, and I'm your host, Michael James Ott. And as always, welcome to the show. So the whole idea behind the show is me trying to have some influence on everyone, including myself, about being a better citizen. Folks, we have to do better. We have to do better. We have to step away from the televisions and the eating the bowls of popcorn and potato chips and that kind of stuff, and really get more involved with our families, our neighbors, our communities, this country, and the earth. We have let it slip away from us, and we've got to get more involved. We've got to understand the issues, the critical issues in front of us, and they're complex. But that's okay, because step by step, if we are willing to acknowledge the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against, then we can figure out a way forward. And hence the Pro and Con Show is, emphasizing that these major issues before us are going to require more than a few words on a hat or a bumper sticker. Okay, so today's show is called Obesity, and so some of the things, we're very much covered up in, and rightly so, a significant focus on the pandemic that's going on, the election here that's less than 2 months away, and all of the unemployment and everything that's caused by the pandemic and so on. So there's a lot of things, and the racial issues that are fomenting across the country, all kinds of things that are going on, which are holding a lot of our attention. But we can't overlook that there are other things that are important, and we need to kind of keep pushing forward on all of them. And one of the things is obesity. So I created this slide, almost 2 years ago, I guess. And it says death by eating. So even as millions starve around the world, obesity and the associated diseases are rampant in these United States. And capitalism is giving us what we crave with amazing efficiency, and it's killing us. And what am I talking about? Well, here I'm actually showing the packaging that talks about the disclosure of the content of a couple of things here. So these are a couple of little snacks, okay? Something that we have entire industries that their focus is making these things. And it's a story of capitalism at its best, in a way, from the standpoint of, hey, people want this, and so how do we give it to them? How do we give it to them, where it's really convenient? How do we give it to them where it's inexpensive? How do we give it to them so that they'll want to buy more and more and more of it? In short, how do we keep that capitalist wheel rolling? And so these, like this on the one package here, the package of chips, this is a package of Dorito chips. And when you open this package, so it's 150 calories, a lot of carbohydrates, some fats and stuff like that. Basically a lot of carbohydrates. When you open this package, there's maybe 12, of the triangular chips in there. Of course, some of them are broken, but if they were all perfect and weren't broken, there's probably like 12 chips in there. It's 150 calories. So the Snickers bar, it's a standard Snickers bar. They varied some over time, but it's whatever ounces that it is. So yeah, peanuts, chocolate, caramel, nougat, all that kind of stuff. 250 calories. okay? Now, both of these things, the vast majority of the calories that are in there are things that your body can very quickly metabolize. So you eat these things, they go into your stomach, and they're very simple sugars, very simple carbohydrates and stuff like that. And your body, it just processes those things. And what happens then is your stomach no longer has anything in it because it's digested stuff, so you start feeling hungry again. But you've already taken 250 and 150, added up, okay, that's 400 calories. That's a fifth of the recommended caloric intake. And it's just a little handful of chips and a candy bar. And the problem is that our bodies, while we crave this because, and I've talked about this in the past, where, at one point, thousands of years ago, long before we had cars and houses and all this stuff that we have today, we were hunter-gatherers, and we went around and we tried to shoot a deer when we could, or grab a squirrel, whatever it was, and get some berries or some wild sweet potato or whatever, okay? And we'd go around and we'd eat what we could, and we'd try to capture or overcome whatever we could. And then, yes, on occasion we would come across a honeybee hive or something, and with the intelligence that we have, we figure out how to get in there and not get stung too bad and get the honey, and we'd eat all the honey. And so the stuff because we're trying to survive on a day-to-day basis, building up anything that we could do to grab a bunch of carbohydrates or fats or whatever and store them, or our bodies naturally did that because that's how you survived. You had you would have these intermittent, good luck opportunities where you come across something that you could really eat a lot of, and then you would be semi-starved for some period of time, depending on how good you were at hunting and gathering. And so your body, when it gets this stuff, it was trained over tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, and so it takes it, and it creates cholesterol, and it creates the fatty deposits that are clogging our arteries and so on. And this is the thing, all of us, you have to be aware that us eating this stuff is not in our interest, okay? So you can have a little bit of it. I mean, truly, if you were to have, a candy bar a week or something, or a couple of bags of chip a week, if that's all you did, you'd be fine. All of us would be fine. But I guarantee you the people that are walking around this country that are obese, they're doing a lot more than that. And it's not just these snacky foods, it's the other foods that we have, the pizza and the all the pasta stuff, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on about how we're not eating very well. And what I just to point this out, so here's some statistics. So if you add up the overweight and obese percentages for the U.S. population, it was around 39% in 1997. So that was 97, 13 years ago. 44% by 2004, 57% by 2007, 64% in 2008. And in 2010, 66% of American adults and 17% of American children are overweight or obese. And 63% of teenage girls become overweight by the age of 11. Look, This is a real issue, and yes, I mean we have to focus on being safe during the pandemic, and we have to focus on the election and doing what's right for the country going forward there, and we have to, yes, we and absolutely do some things in a very positive way for people of color, because this racism thing has been unfair for them for literally centuries, and it's time that it stopped. Okay, all those things are true, but there's no reason why, while we're doing all those things, that we can't also say, you know what, I need to eat better. I need to eat at more appropriate times. I need to eat way less high carb things, high sugar things. We need to get our bodies back away from this overweight and obese situation. Beer and pizza and pasta and the list goes on and on. You've got to be better citizens for yourselves, for your family members, for your neighbors, for this country, for the world, because when you aren't, a huge number of people, it's in the hundreds of thousands of deaths every year, and it's all the healthcare. You talk about all the healthcare costs and your healthcare costs and why they're exploding. Well, one of the big reasons is obesity. You're not being healthy, so now you've got all of the pharmaceutical stuff and heart bypass, and I mean there's just a huge list of care that people require because they're overweight or obese and they're eating these horrific foods. We've got to take better care of ourselves. We've got to step back from obesity. I'm Michael James Ott. This has been the Pro and Con Show, and until the next show, bye for now.